today's event. We are delighted to have you all here and look forward to a productive and insightful session. About James, I want to brief you about it. James is a think tank committed to advancing medical education in India. Our mission is to collaborate with government, private, and autonomous medical institutions, as well as academic leaders, to provide world class education to Indian medical students while ensuring compliance with government regulations. I want to also brief you about Jane's membership. You will have gain exclusive access to a network of like-minded medical students and professionals worldwide. You will have holistic learning opportunities. You can attend webinars, workshops, and conferences featuring renowned experts. It can be a career boost. You can get early access to internship and research opportunities. You will have various mentorship programs. In RASOG is a subcommittee under it, and we have personal mentorship programs as well. So you can also get access to our publication journal, and you can always make a global impact. So about RASOG. RASOG is a Research Administrative Society of James. It is dedicated to fostering research and innovation in the medical field. It provides administrative support, resources, and guidance to researchers, helping them navigate the complexities of medical research. So today's event is organized by RASOG under the guidance of our National Director, Yusra Iftikhar. And I want to introduce about our speaker, esteemed speaker. It's an absolute honor to introduce our guest, a distinguished figure in the field of psychiatry, Dr. Abhishek Chowhan. Welcome, sir. He's a respected consultant psychiatrist at GMC Jammu and currently serves as Honorary General Secretary of the Jammu and Kashmir Psychiatric Society. With an impressive academic and research portfolio, Dr. Chauhan has authored 12 original research articles, 2 books, and 1 book chapter, along with contributing a case report and 11 newspaper editorials, all of which reflect his deep commitment to advancing medical health awareness and education. And about certificates of attendance will be provided to the game's elite members at the end of the webinar. We hope you find this workshop informative and engaging. Without further ado, let's begin with our speaker, Dr. Abhishek Chauhan. So, over to you.
Thank you, Simran. Yeah. So, today's I'll just share my presentation.
Yes.
So, visible, my screen is visible to all. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
And my screen is visible to all?
No, sir. No, sir, it's not right now.
Is it now?
No, sir.
Yes. Is it visible now?
Sorry, sir.
No. Not yet?
No, sir. Yes, sir, it's showing.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes,
The
sir.
presentation is
Not presentation, but your screen. Yes, sir. Now presentation is visible.
it's visible now?
Yes, sir.
Right. So today we'll be talking about research and publication ethics. In fact, ethics are so important in a research that they can, make or break all of your labor which you have put into your research. Whether the research is scientifically valid, whether it is ethical, whether you have followed all the guidelines for publishing an manuscript. In fact, when you think of a research, you first don't decide that what research I'm going to do, how I am going to do it. First ask yourself, after this presentation you will be knowing it, that whether this research is ethically possible. In fact, ethical issues come even when you are planning a research, when you are doing the methodology, you are collecting the data. Ethical issues crop up when you are writing your research paper, and ethical issues come up even when you are going to public send your research to a journal or a newspaper or a magazine when you are publishing the research. So that is what we are going to learn today. And the what will we learn about the this will be learning the research ethics. We'll be learning what are the research misconducts and which are unethical, of course. We'll be learning about plagiarism, which is again unethical. And briefly, we'll be discussing what are the criteria for authorship. Who should be an author of a research paper? Not everybody, but only those who have contributed significantly. So, what are the research ethics? Now, what are ethics? Ethics are moral principles of right and wrong. Of course, ethics for every person is they are not absolute. They may vary by person, they may vary by time, and they may vary by place. For example, if you are doing a research which for ethics, just imagine that before COVID, doing an online consultation with a person was unethical. It was not allowed. But as the time came of COVID, when people were not able to meet physically, that at that time the 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 medical practice came to online, and how the ethics changed according to time. So what are the research ethics? What are the research ethics now? Research ethics means incorporating ethical principles into research practice. And as I've already told you, all stages, all those involved from inception to the completion, they're all involved into research ethics. There are various codes, there are various committees which have been formed over the year, international committees, and they deal with research ethics. I'll just enumerating a few of them. One is Nuremberg Code, second is Declaration of Helsinki, Bellman's Report, COIMs. These, and then the UNESCO human right committees. These are some of the committees which have cropped up over the years, especially after World War II, and they deal with the ethics involved in this research. And in fact, some points from all these committees are still valid, which we use as research ethics. Now, a very important report, the Belmont Report in 1979, introduced three fundamental ethical principles that is now widely accepted. So these are very important. Just understand, when you are doing a research, and when you are doing a research on human subjects, you have to follow these three ethical principles. Number one, what is that? Respect for the person, beneficence and non-maleficence, and justice. What are these? Let's discuss. First, let's discuss what do we mean by respect for the person. What does this mean? That individual should be treated as autonomous agent. That means they should be treated as agents who can decide for themselves, who can decide whether this research is going to benefit us or not. You can tell a person that we are doing one such research on you, we are going to collect such data from you, and they might help you, but you cannot force your decision. It should be their decision whether they consider this research as significant, and whether they want to give you your consent for the research. So number one is respect for the person, and number two, persons with diminished autonomy must be protected. What does that mean? What are the persons with diminished autonomy? Who cannot give you consent. What are these persons? These persons could be somebody who is not of legal age. Those people who are under 18 year of age, and sometimes uh, these people could be those who are of unsound mind. So these should be protected. Number two, we discuss beneficence and non-maleficence. What does beneficence mean? Beneficence means the research should be ethical in a way that it should provide benefit to those who are being researched, or to the population in general. And non-maleficence, what does that mean? Non-maleficence means that we should not do harm. We should protect the subjects from harm as far as possible, right? So this means we should, beneficence means we should give benefit to the subjects, and non-beneficent means we should not do intentional harm to the subjects. And what is justice? Justice means all individuals must be treated fairly. ठीक है? What does this mean? This means distribution of benefits. Whatever the benefits you are getting out of this research, you should distribute it amongst the subjects, not the monetary benefit we are talking about. We are talking about the scientific benefit. And research should not unduly involve persons from group who are unlikely to be beneficiaries of subsequent application. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? इसका मतलब हुआ कि you cannot do a research on a study which is going to take place in India, and you are and it will benefit, let us say, a country, let us take example that it will benefit India, but you are taking subjects from some other country. So it should not involve persons from group who are unlikely to be the beneficiaries of subsequent application of research. Now, what are the 7 requirements for ethical research? Ethical research, the 7 requirements are that it should have a societal and scientific value. It should have scientific validity, fair subject selection, favorable risk-benefit ratio, respect for subjects, informed consent, and independent review. What does that mean? What is societal and scientific value? What this means that the research which you are going to conduct should have a social or scientific significance. What does this mean? That it should either improve, or it should give some benefit to the society, or it should give some benefit to the scientific literature. The treatment or hypothesis being tested should improve well-being or increase knowledge about the research area. Okay? Now, second, scientific validity. Scientific validity का क्या मतलब होता है? Scientific validity means that the methodology which you have decided should be scientifically valid. What does that mean? That means either the research, the results which you are going to get, it should be a representative of the same population, or it should uh, when the results are applied to the population, it should be valid. That means, in short, what does that mean? That your research should be scientifically perfect. Why? What is the problem? If what is ethical problem if the research is not scientifically valid? That is not a ethical issue. But what is ethics involved in this? Ethic involved in this is that if your research is flawed, that means the benefit which the subjects are going to get, they might not get the benefit because the results will not be right. So your research should be scientifically valid also. Then fair subject selection. Again, ये हमने डिस्कस किया. It means that vulnerable individuals or convenient sampling should not be unfairly targeted. इसका क्या मतलब होता है? What does that mean? Fair subject selection means what now we are dealing with the sampling. जब आप कोई रिसर्च करते हो, आप एक सैंपल सेलेक्ट करते हो, and that sample should be representative of your population. आप ऐसे नहीं कर सकते कि कोई भी, आप डायबिटीज में रिसर्च कर रहे हो, तो जो 10 लोग आपके पास डायबिटीज वाले पहले आ गए, उनको आपने ले लिया. What does that mean? That means कि ये कन्वीनियंट सैंपल रहा. अब यहाँ पे क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है? हो सकता है कि वो जो 10 लोग आपके पास एकदम आ गए, वो एक्चुअल में हमने रैंडमाइज नहीं किया, हमने वो उसको पॉपुलेशन से सेलेक्ट नहीं किया. वो सिर्फ वो लोग थे जो कि ट्रीटमेंट करवाने आ रहे थे आपके पास. मे बी आपने ले लिया उनके लिए जो कि डायबिटीज के पेशेंट थे, एंड दोज हु हैव कम फॉर लेट अस से फुट अल्सर, but they may not be the real sample, because they might be those people who are having severe illnesses along with comorbidity. So fair subject selection क्यों important होती है? Again, because to reduce the biases and for your study to be scientifically valid, जैसे हमने कि पहले डिस्कस किया. 4, very important, जब भी हम कोई रिसर्च करते हैं, तो we know there is always an element of risk in clinical research. Just take an example of a new drug. We don't know what side effect this drug is going to produce. However, what we have to take into consideration, that we have to take all the necessary steps so that the risks to individual subjects are minimized, especially reckless risk, they should be minimized. And benefits to the individual subjects are enhanced. What does that mean? जैसे कि हमने बोला वही maleficence, non-maleficence and beneficence. They should be beneficial, and their harmful effects to the subject should be minimized. And benefits to individual subjects and society are proportionate. मतलब कि हम वो research तब करेंगे, we do a research only when the risks are less, the benefit to the community is more. Then respect for research subjects. We also discuss this when we discuss about यहाँ पे कौन सा principle आएगा, the principle of justice. So we have to give equal opportunity to the subjects so that they are selected. We have to protect the respecting the subject means doing the following: protect the subject's confidentiality and privacy, provide opportunity to withdraw early without penalty. If somebody say, initially gave you consent that I'll be part of this research, but initially but subsequently he changed his mind, he can be allowed to withdraw without asking any question. Third point, as we already discussed, monitor subjects' well-being, have procedures to manage adverse reactions, emergencies, changes in clinical status, etc. Next, we should inform subjects of new. For example, we are doing a research, and there is some changes in the methodology of research now, or some new information have come for which the research has to be modified. You have to inform the subjects of new information and take reconsent if necessary. And after your research, you have to inform the subjects of results in recognition of their contribution. And lastly, and very importantly, compensates subjects for research injury. If there is any harm which happened to the subjects, you can compensate those subjects by either treatments or monetary compensation, etc. Now, very important, informed consent. Let me tell you, majority of us do not take informed consent. Either we forget it or we take it very lightly. Informed consent is the single most important unethical behavior if we do not take it. What does informed consent? Informed consent means that we have to make the subjects or the population or our sample, we have to make them understand what research we are doing, what are the harms associated with this research, what are the benefits associated with research, how it is going to help the society or them in particular. And these have to be communicated to them in non-technical language, in a language which they understand. And they are secondly, they are provided with ample time. You don't say that, okay, we have told you everything now, now come on, decide whether you want to join or not, or come on, now we have told you everything, you took 1 hour of us, no, you have to join this research. No, you give them ample time. Even if they ask, tell you that, okay, we'll tell you about whether we want to win this research or not in maybe due course of time. You give them a time frame of, let us say, a couple of days or a week's time, and if they decide, they can join the research or not. And second, most important, informed consent must be signed and dated by the subject before participating, not after participating. uh, in case of minors who are 7 to 18 years of age, we take assent of the minors. So yes or no, whether you want to be a part of the research or not, and the consent is taken by the from the parents. Those minors who are less than 7 years of age, assent is not taken, direct consent is taken from the parents or the guardian. Now, this was all about research ethics. What is now research? Another part of research ethic is research misconduct. Misconduct means how we as a researcher can do things which which are not considered appropriate or unethical. So when a researcher does something which is unethical, it is called as research misconduct. What is it? So the ICMR, now this is not Department of Health and Human Services. We take the ICMR, in the Indian Council of Medical Research defines research misconduct as three things: fabrication, just remember these three things: fabrication, falsification, or plagiarism in proposing, performing, or reviewing research result. What does that mean? What fabrication? What does it mean? Fabrication means making up of research. results and recording or reporting them. For example, we started with a thought in our mind that this should be our results, but when we actually did the research, our results came up to be something else. But then what our researcher did, he made up some results so that his hypothesis is satisfied. Now this is called as fabrication. What is falsification? Falsification means manipulation of research materials, equipments, or processes, or changing or omitting results so that the research is not what accurately represented in record. What does that? What does falsification mean? Now, fabrication means you decided upon a result, it didn't came, you made up the result. What is falsification? Falsification means you wanted a result and you manipulated your research material or equipments or data in such a way that you got the desired result. This is called as falsification. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is very important. In fact, this is the most unethical of misconduct which a researcher can do. This means that using of another's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving proper credit to the original person or the original researcher. However, if it is not honest error or difference opinion, you can differ from a researcher's point of view. If you say it in your own words, it is not plagiarism. So, what are the criteria of research misconduct? It represents a significant departure from accepted practices. It, for example, you have decided that if this happens, what we are going to do next. If it doesn't fit that criteria, which you have already told in your methodology, represented in your methodology, that means you have done a research misconduct. It also means that something which has been committed intentionally or knowingly or recklessly. And it can be proven by a preponderance of evidence from your data. So what are the top poor behaviors or misconduct which a researcher can do? That means falsifying or cooking the research data, which we have already discussed. Not properly disclosing involvement in firms or products are based on one's own research. What does this mean? This means that this specifically comes when the drugs are being investigated. For example, there is a drug A, and the person is actually an employee of the same firm whose drug is being investigated, and he gives results which are promising for that drug, which could be right. We are not saying that he has done anything wrong. For example, so what is wrong in this? Wrong in this is that he should disclose that I am actually a employee of this organization, whom product is this, and these are the results. Rest he can leave to the audience, to the readers to decide whether this results are applicable or not. And third is what we discuss plagiarism. Fourth is unauthorized use of confidential information in connection with one's own research. For example, uh, 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 there is some information which the subjects gave very confidential, and it was not written in the informed consent, and you use the information. This is unethical. Failing to present data that contradicts one's own previous research. This can also happen. For example, a researcher has done a research and he's got a uh, got results, but when he did the subsequent research, he found out that those results were actually not right, and he hid it. So this is also poor behavior. Overlooking looking others used of flawed data. So these are not unethical things, but these are poor behavior. For example, you find out that in a research somebody has used the data and has used some research, and the data or the interpretation is not right. So he should report it to the researcher or to the journal that these are my findings and that is how the research should have been done. And again, poor behavior is changing the design, methodology, or results of a study in response to pressure from a funding source. Of course, and this is the same thing. For example, there is a drug company and a researcher is doing research on their drug, and he found out that this drug is not effective. But however, there is a pressure from them that no, we want positive results, and he's changing the design methodology. That is, he's doing falsification. Again, poor behavior. What are other poor behavior? Publishing the same data or results into one more journal. We'll be discussing these things later on. What are the other? So now another other things which are considered misconduct, and these are very important, especially when you are submitting your research for publication. These what does these mean? These misconducts mean, this means three important things: salami slicing, duplicate submission, and multiple submission. These are very important, and remember, these three things are taken very seriously by the submitting journals. Salami slices, what does this mean? And this is a very common practice. For example, somebody is writing a thesis. So what he decided that my thesis can be converted into four small papers, four different papers. So what he did, he sliced up his one research, he broke up his one large study into two or more smaller published articles. This is called as salami slicing, and this is not allowed. This is unethical. What is duplicate submission? Duplicate submission means that somebody has done a research, and now he want to submit the same research after doing some minor modification to a new journal. He has already published this research, it is his research, but now he want to gain another publication number by submitting into a new journal by slightly modifying the results. This is called as duplicate submission. This is also not allowed. And then there is multiple submission. Multiple submission means that you have, when you have submitted your research or your article to one journal or magazine or newspaper, and sometimes journals can take very long time to process your research for publication. And then one day, what the author decided, he decided, I am fed up with these people, they're not publishing my research, I'll submit it to some other journal. Or what he did, he simultaneously submitted to the two journals कि देखते हैं कौन पहले मेरा publish कर देगा. This is called as multiple submission. This is not allowed. You have to take permission from the editor to withdraw from first journal, and then only you can submit to the next journal. So why does misconduct happen? Of course, publish or perish pressure, because in research we have to publish, especially for promotions, you might need it, so there might be pressure on you, and misconduct might happen. Desire to get ahead. Oh, I have 20 publications, he has 25 publications, I need to get to 30 publication. So misconduct might happen. Personal problem, character issues, cultural differences, and so on. Misconduct can happen. So, and misconduct, I already told you, it is taken very seriously by the journals, editors, etc. What happens if a misconduct is find out? There can be withdrawal or correction of all pending and published papers and abstract affected by the misconduct. Reprimand or removal of a project, especially if somebody is, a research associate, he might lose rank, salary reduction might happen, dismissal might happen. Restitution of funds to the granting agency. The granting agency might hold back the funds, and inability to apply for grants for 5 years. What other things can happen, especially if a journal find out that it's a duplicate submission or a multiple submission, he can ban you for, let us say, 5 years. Or if the misconduct is so severe, it can ban you for permanently publishing in their journal. Or even if it is senior, then there is an international body of editors. He can send the case to them, that this misconduct, this serious misconduct has happened. Who is investigated? All the authors who are involved in the specific data in question are investigated. And who is held accountable? Primary author is always held accountable. When we are doing the research, we are very fond of that, I'll be the first author. But let me tell you, first author is not named as first. This is a highly accountable position, and if a research misconduct or unethical research is find out, he is held accountable along with any other authors whose results are found to be culpable. Now, lastly, we'll be discussing a very important topic, and that is the most important unethical thing, along with maybe informed consent, not taking informed consent. what a researcher does when he starts the research, because his mind is not so much open to the research, to the ideas, to the academics, to the knowledge. And that is when the plagiarism most commonly happens. What is plagiarism? Plagiarism is it is a transitive verb. It means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another person as one's own. So you steal the idea or a research or lines of somebody else, and you said these are my lines, or use of another's production without crediting the source. And एक तो उससे ले भी लिया, चुरा भी लिया, और ये भी नहीं बताया कि ये तो भाई तुम्हारा काम, तो you didn't give him the credit. So what is the criteria for plagiarism? Ask, is the work author's own creation and written in author's own words? If not, does the writing provide appropriate credit to previous work? So either they should be author's own creation or written in author's own word. If they are not author's own creation, then as I already told you, whether appropriate credit has been given to previous author. Now there is another similar term which is a slightly broad term, and that is copyright. So it is a form of protection provided by the laws to the authors of original works of authorship, which include literary, dramatics, musical, artistic, and certain other intellectual works. And this copyright is available for both published as well as unpublished works. So when we do plagiarism in copyright, it is called as piracy. Fair use means Fair use is an intermittent term. Fair use means it allows for the use of limited portions of the work that has copyright without having to have permission from the original author. For example, some author has written, let us say, an essay. So found out that some lines are very interesting, and I want to include these lines into my research. So this is a limited portion, and you can use these lines in your research. But what is important, you have to quote that first author. However, if the paragraph or the lines or the content you want to use is too much, like maybe more than 500 words, then you have to take permission from the original author, and then you can use. This is mostly used. Fair use is mostly used when you are doing research using somebody else's, let us say, scales. For example, in psychiatry, there are some scales to quantify depression. For example, HAMD is one scale, Hamilton scale, uh, and there are some other scales. So when you're using such scales, you have to send a mail to the original author that we want to use your research or scale or ideas, whatever, and please give me permission. So this is called as fair use. Now this is very interesting. There are many ways we can plagiarize. So what are the most common form, and from common to the least common? Commonest is clone. What is clone? Clone means somebody has written some research. You didn't change the words. You just picked up their research and published it at that. This is my research. Now how is cloning happening now? After the advent of chat GPT and this all these search engines, what we are doing, we are putting some keywords in that a paragraph is coming, and we are copy pasting it somewhere else. This is cloning. Actually, this is not your work. This is a work word by word of some search, some this AI engine, and you're using it. Earlier, what we used to call it, we used to call it copy and paste. We used to copy whole of the text of an author and paste it as our own work. This is called as clone. Very serious misconduct. This is called as. What is other? Control C. What does this mean? This means control C means we have a written piece that contains significant portions of text from a single source without alteration. What does that mean? कि हमने पूरा research, उसका पूरा का पूरा essay, we will discuss now this in context of an essay. We have not used whole of its essay, but we have used some lines from it, significant lines, portions of it, his essay, and we have not cited it, and we have used it word to word. Now another thing is find to replace. Some researcher who is slightly more intelligent, what he'll do, he'll copy those lines from somebody's essay, he will rephrase it. What does rephrase it? Rephrase means he will right click on some word and find the synonym and you insert a synonym. For example, uh, let us say अगर इसी में से देखते हैं, the act of changing keywords, he doesn't want to write the key, he scroll to the key, this word key key, right click किया, नीचे देखा, उसमें आया सैनो में important, तो उसने चेंज क्या बना दिया, the act of changing important words and phrases. So this is find and replace, so that he is not caught by the original author. Remix means an act of paraphrases from other sources and making it fit seamlessly. What does this mean? You copied and paste from that essay and you paraphrased it, and there is so remix is a mix of that paraphrase, changed lines from somebody else's work and then your own work also. Remix. Recycle means recycle means recycle is the act of borrowing from generously from own previous works without citation. This is also called as self plagiarization. What is this means? You published some research 1 year ago, and now you are using some lines from the same research in your current research also. This is called as recycling. Self plagiarism. Hybrid means combining cited source. Now cited source means कि ठीक है, आपने टेक्स्ट भी उठाया, आपने साइटेड भी, आपने आपने कॉपी किया उससे, मगर उसको साइट नहीं किया और एक ही पेज पेपर में वो डाल दिया. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज हाइब्रिड. देन देयर इज mashup, mixed of copied material. 4x4 error, very interesting. What is 4x404 error? A written piece that includes citations to a non-existent or inaccurate information of the sources. So you have uh, written a line from some source and you forget, oh, what, where did I get this line, and you just with your own imagination created some source and put aggregator. An aggregator includes proper citation, but it contains no original work. It means that author has, that fellow has now done one thing, that he has used different works of different authors. He has even cited those authors. Cited means, what is cited means? Citation means giving credit to that author, those authors, but there is no original work in his work. So retweet. This means proper citation or proper credits, but it relies too closely on text original words or structure. So how can you avoid plagiarism? Be honest. When you have used a source in your paper, give credit where it is due. That means give credit where it is from. Acknowledge the author of original work you have used. Use your work as often as possible. Quoting and citing sources is usually required, and it's inevitable when doing research. You देखो, इतनी सारी information आप अपने mind से नहीं ला सकते. You have to get it from other sources, but you have to cite it. Okay. Another way is to quote or recite your sources properly. Now, this is some examples of how do you cite. You're saying, sir, cite the author, give credit to the author, give credit to the author. How can we give credit to the author? There are different ways. For example, there can be indirect. Indirect means that we are not naming the author. Some researchers noted that children are totally insensitive to their parents' shyness. So Zimbardo was an author which we are giving credit to, that he said actually that children are totally insensitive to their parents' shyness, and we have quoted and we have given him the credit. Then there can be direct, like Zimbardo noted that children are totally insensitive to their parents. And then there can be paraphrasing. Now you can do paraphrasing, but again, even if you have done paraphrasing, you have to give credit to the author. For example, now how it is, some researchers have observed that children seem unaware that their parents are considered bashful. So again, same thing, but we have rewritten this thing and given credit to the author. Now, this was about plagiarism. Now, another thing, what we are most of us do, and this is happening very frequently. For example, two people get together and they do a research. Another two people get together and they do their research. First group said to second group, we will include your name in our paper, and you include our name in in your paper. What will happen? Both of us will have two papers. So, but were the first two the author of second, or the whether the second two were author the first research? No, they were not. So this is what is this called as? This is called as gifting the authorship, and this is considered unethical. Who is an author actually? An author is a person who has substantial contribution to the conceptual or design of the work, or the acquisition, analysis, or interpretation of the data for the work. So that इसका मतलब क्या? An author is who is involved with the research right from the time it was to the time it was published. He has to be involved in all the steps. He is involved with with drafting the work or reviewing it critically for important intellectual consent, final approval of the version to be published, and he has agreed that he will be accountable for all the aspects of the work. Okay, so this was about today's presentation of research ethics. So you learned about what are the research ethics, what is a research misconduct, what is plagiarism. So all these collectively are called as research ethics. Now, if you are seeing my screen and if you are interested, I'll be giving you 5 or 6 case scenarios, and I'll be keeping this one slide on for 1 minute, and you can tell yourself and then give yourself that whether you're right or wrong, that what are the ethical issues in the following scenario. So this is case one. So let us make it a bit more interesting. So group the first case is two graduate students have made some measurement on a new material. The data points are shown. To prove their hypothesis, the result should lie on the curve. The students considered omitting the two data points which were off the theoretical curve. So what does this mean? They did a research. They found some data which is falling on curve. However, two data points were not falling on curve, and they said we will remove these two data points so that all of our data fall on this curve. Is it ethical or unethical? Think about it.
You can unmute yourself if you want to answer. Anyone? So you unmute. You muted.
Yeah, am I audible and screen visible?
Yes, yes, sir.
So so first, it was unethical because it would amount to falsification of data. Now, Second case study, a group of medical students conducted a research on awareness of diabetic diet in medical clinic participation. The research was recognized as a best undergraduate research, and later they submit the research to two different journals to see which journal publishes it first, whether it is ethical or unethical, whether it is a research misconduct. So there are two things.
Yes, sir.
First, it was two hints. First is that it is best undergraduate research, and number two, they published it. They sent it for submitting to two different journals. Again, unethical because of two reasons. First of all, they wanted to use it as a double counter. What is double counter? Double counter means, first of all, it was best research. They have already got credit for it, and now they want to publish it, right? And second thing, also because they are sending it to two different journals, it is multiple submission. Again, misconduct. Okay? When we are talking of inadvertent double counting, this comes when somebody who is doing a post graduation want to publish his research. He can publish his research, but he has to cite it that this was my thesis research. Otherwise, otherwise it will come to be as misconduct. Now, group B. Students are required to prepare a research disposal during undergraduate program. Nimal developed the idea for his project and discussed with a friend. Several months later, he found that his idea has been submitted as a research proposal by his friend without his knowledge. So somebody designed a research, somebody else submitted it without his knowledge. सामने दिखाई तो चोरी है ना? This is unethical. Why it is unethical? What should he have been done? Unethical as failure to give credit to person whose idea it is intellectual property. It amounts to plagiarism. That means it was not his idea, somebody else's idea, and he used that idea for and submitted as his own idea. It is plagiarism. What should have been done? He should have discussed it with the first person, decided about the authorship, and included himself and the other person as co-authors. Now, another thing, four friends now decided to work together on a research project during vacations. One of them went abroad during the vacation and did not contribute to the research. However, because they were very fast friends, they included all four names in presentation made at a scientific congress. Is it misconduct or not? Easy. We discussed it. It is, of course, a misconduct because we discussed that only those who contribute intellectually should be cited as authors. Others who contributed in some other ways may be acknowledged. I give you a very common example which is happening. You know, somebody, let us say some HOD allowed some author to conduct a research as at his hospital. That was that. He just allowed them to do the research. However, what happened? That they included the name of that HOD in the authors. He should not have been included in the authors. He should only have been acknowledged that we thank so and so person for allowing us to conduct the research in his department. He should not be considered, he should not be included as author. Another, a group of undergraduate students planned a research project on the detection of fetal abnormalities in second trimester by ultrasound scanning. They collected the data from the scan room without informing the mothers. Ethical or unethical? Of course, unethical. Why? They just collected the data. Important thing is they just collected the data. They did not do the ultrasound. They did not visit the mothers. They just collected the data. But it is still unethical because they didn't took informed consent from the participants. Even if the data is taken, even if anonymity was maintained, but still, even if you are saying that okay, we will not take your name in this research, so we don't want any consent from you. No, this is not. They should have informed mothers of their intent even before there is no particular advantage or disadvantage to the mother in doing so. Hai na? There is no disadvantage or advantage. There is no risk to the mother, but still consent should be taken. Another thing, similar, a group of undergraduate students collected data from a group of bank officers with their consent regarding their working hours and salary with regard to the prevalence of high blood pressure. So they wanted to find out that whether there is a relationship between high blood pressure and working hours and salary. Subsequently, the researchers gave the same data to another group who were in need of same data variable. So they and another group came to them, and they told that we want the same data from you, and they gave it to them. Whether it is ethical or unethical, again, this is unethical, because again, same thing. Even if you are giving your data to a third party, the first party, that is the subjects, have not given consent for sharing the data to the third party. Okay, the guidelines of data sharing apply here. Consent and confidentiality apply. So thank you. This was about research and publication ethics. Now, if there are any doubts in your mind, any questions, any queries, please ask.
If you have any questions, you can drop in the chat box or you can raise your hand. So also, I'll unmute yourself. So we have also prepared a few questions if anyone going to ask. Okay, so first question. What are the best practices for ensuring our work is free from plagiarism, both intentional and unintentional?
When I discuss these things, na, so
Yes.
the important thing is you should follow two principles. First of all, uh, even if you find somebody's research very interesting and you want to include it in your own research paper, important thing is that you give him the credit. You give him credit by including his name in the list of references, that from where this reference has been taken. Number one. Number two is that even if you are using somebody else's research or some idea or some lines from, you want to use some lines from his research, it's better to write them in your own language and give credit to the original author. Even if you find that these lines are so true that they have to be reflected in an author's words, then you should put them in inverted commas. That is the direct thing. So
Okay,
that is
so
how you
so
can
next.
avoid.
Okay, so the next question. Is it unethical to write a case report without including the treating physician?
No, it is not unethical. If that treating physician have contributed significantly, like if he has been involved in your research, only then you can include his research. Otherwise, you can only acknowledge him. For example, there is a physician A from whose clinic you took the sample, and that is it. That was the only time he saw you. uh, he didn't contribute to your research in writing, in planning, in collecting data, etc. You just have to write at the end of the research that we are highly thankful to Dr. A for allowing us to collect data from his practice or chamber, etc. You are not compelled to include him as all. However, you should
Okay,
acknowledge
sir.
him.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, last question. How can students identify predatory journals and what are the risks of publishing in them?
Look, when you're mm, it's easy. Predatory journal will never do it for free. They will be asking you charge for the article to be published. Number one, there are many good journals also who charge you for publication, but then predatory journals will just tell you that, okay, send me your research and we'll publish it. There will be no peer review. They will not be sending you back your articles for repeated queries, repeated methodological flaws, repeated peer reviews. And that is how you can sense that this is some predatory journal who just want money out of me and want to publish my research just for the sake of it. And there are big harms with on public publishing with a predatory journal. And I think the greatest harm is that such an author, they usually lose their reputations. So people come to know that, oh, this was a flawed research published in a predatory journal, and peer review haven't been done. So that means this was just done for the sake of maybe getting up the numbers of publications or promotions, etc. And
Okay, sir.
predatory journals are generally indexed in, very easy to get indexed sort of indexing agencies like Index Copernicus. These journals generally are indexed in such indexing agencies.
Okay, sir. So Aryan has asked, as hospitals store patients' data, can we do a research on that data in any way?
Yes, we can do. Absolutely, we can do data research on that data, because when you say, however, important thing is that when you are collecting that data, make sure that if the hospitals maintain that record, that this is a patient X whose record is this, and अगर वहाँ पे कोई मोबाइल नंबर या कुछ mentioned है, to take consent from that individual. However, sometimes what happens, especially in hospitals where there is a huge rush, it is very difficult after collecting the data from records department to directly contact with the patients. In that case, what you can do is that you can approach the ethics committee, and you can tell them that this is the data we are going to use. Kindly provide us the consent to use the data in our research, and definitely you can use.
Okay, sir. That was it for the session. Thank you so much. I'll just tell
Thank
you
you.
about the thank you note to everyone. Thank you all for attending today's basic research to today's session. Your participation and engagement has made this event a great success. We extend a heartfelt gratitude to esteemed speaker Dr. Abhishek Chowhan sir for sharing their valuable insights and expertise. A special thanks to our director of RASOG, Dr. Yusra ma'am, for her leadership and support. Uh, I'll also briefly mention about the Games Elite membership. For Games Elite members, you will have exclusive access to a series of upcoming workshops, both online and offline. We have also comprehensive schedule of events planned to enhance your learning and professional development. One of them is personal mentorship program coming soon. Elite members can join these sessions and continue to grow with games. And I will be providing you a feedback form that will be marking your attendance also. And yes, thank you again. We look forward to see you on in a future events. The link feedback form will be open for 15 minutes. Kindly fill that. Okay, wait. Okay, sir, you can leave. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank you.
you for the patience.
Thank you so much. So, your question is like when the research unveiled results. I think the games Rasok national team has not organized it. It may be of different state chapter, I guess.